This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Real Talk.
Hey, this is Robin Lord Taylor, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's up? It's Logan Browning, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Real Talk.
Hey, I'm Gina Lou, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, I'm Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. You're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chrissy DePaul here, and you are listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, this is Michael Jai White, Byron Min from Black Dynamite, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's up? This is China Lane. You are listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio. So keep it locked, keep it hot. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Verduga, aka Justice Woman, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Dennis White here on Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio. Tune in tonight and get the real.
Real Talk.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
All right. Thank you. We're back. Another night here on live stream. I want to welcome everybody from the Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Who's joining us? We have the show Real Talk that's in progress already, and hopefully you can hear me because we're still doing our little technical things. And then let's see, Ralph, can you hear me?
I can't hear you on both. It delay live feeds, maybe about 2 seconds. But I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you too.
So you can hear it. Okay. Ralph, Chad, unfortunately. Okay. Now you guys, what I want to know is, can we hear you when you speak? 1, 2, 1, 2.
I hear somebody's background really, really bad.
Yeah. I think that might have been Kev's background. Let's see. Can y'all hear each other? That's Kev talking. Go ahead.
I think
I heard Ralph.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you. You can't hear me through the computer? Yes.
Through the computer.
Perfect. All right. So all is well then. As long as you can hear me through the computer, that means you guys can hear me through the computer. Check in with the chat room and make sure they can hear me. Chat room, can you guys hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
Learn how to
Yes, computer.
Perfect. He said there was feedback. Let's see if is it better. Is it any better, my people? Out, Jack will marry. Talk to me, people. Can you hear me? And is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So we go from there. Well, once again, we want to welcome everyone to the live stream that's joining us on Facebook and YouTube.com. YouTube.com, you can find us at www.youtube.com/VIE Network. The IE Network. It's Independent Entertainment Network. The IE Network. That's where you want to find us on YouTube. If you want to find us on Facebook, it's broadcasting on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Clark Director. and I'm going to drop the link in on each page, and we'll go from there. You guys are joining us now live in a show we're doing on blogtalkradio.com. If anyone wants to call up and talk to us, talk on the air about any of the topics that we're talking about tonight, you can put this number in the chat room. You can reach us at 646-595-4038. That is 646-595-4038. Guys can give us a call, shout it out, say what's up, and we go from there. We thank you for joining us. Shout out to the chat room. And let me go over here. Let's not forget about our chat room on Blog Talk and shout them out. Everybody that's in the chat room on Blog Talk. So we got 2-3 chat rooms going on. We got Facebook, we got YouTube, and we got Blog Talk. We need to just assign one to each of us. Right. But shout out to the heavy hitters that are always supporting, coming through. I appreciate y'all. You know, shout out to my brother, Evan Hollywood, of course, doing his thing. Pretty soon, we will be bringing back the Heaven Hollywood Experience, which is his radio talk show that he'll probably be doing kind of like how we're doing this via live stream and probably Blog Talk. Well, but, you know, shout out to everybody. Joseph Tanner's in the building. He's actually in the YouTube the YouTube chat room. He's probably he's in both. That's what's up. Shout out Tanner. What's up, man? Thank you for the support. And we go from there. So so our technical difficulties seem to be out of the way. So let's move on with the show topic. And you know, first up, well, we were talking about the old guard, right? Being one of the Netflix #1 film. I mean, you know, film that's being most popular. And then we were talking about. Actually, we left off talking about Fatal. I can't remember. I keep saying Fatal Attraction. It's Fatal Affair. That's what it's called. Was the #1 movie this week on Netflix? #1 watch movie, but what that tells me, that just tells me that we are fiends for movies. Yeah. I hate to say it, but that's true. We're fiends for movies. So that's what I mean by the first studio that decides to release something straight on demand from you know, in the midst of this pandemic. Yeah, they will. They'll make a lot of money. They will make a lot of money. So, yeah, Joseph Tan's in the building. Elisa, shout out to her. She's in the building. That's Nikita G. They're all in there, man. Shout out to all the heavy hitters. Some of y'all, I can't pronounce y'all names right now. I don't want to butcher them. So I just want, you know, I'm new to the heavy hitters. That's my brother's crowd. You know what I mean? They support him. They're a group of supporters that support him, and it's a real dope that they support us too. And you know, I really appreciate that, the love and the support. And I just want to make sure that I always shout them out. I just don't want to say nobody's name wrong. You know what I mean? They be jumping in there with the name. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to mess that name up. You know, so. We got Nikita G, and which one of my favorite names is Nikita. That was one of my favorite films. La Femme Nikita. You know, it's spelled a different way, but I assume it's pronounced that way. Yeah. So, you know, I assume it's pronounced that way. So that's one of my favorite memes and one of my favorite shows, especially the one on TV with Maggie Q. Nikita, that was my show. And shout out to my mom. Rest in peace. She used to love the Nikita show that used to come on the Sci-Fi Channel, I think. I didn't like that show that much. That wasn't really my thing. I was like, yeah, that's what the chick, she was like the blonde head girl who was Nikita. My mother loved that show. Me, not so much. But when Maggie Q, when her show Nikita came out, I was loving it. So,
that sounds like Asian persuasion right there.
Yeah, so Asian persuasion. I love me some Maggie Q, man. So, yes, I love me some Maggie Q, and yeah, she's that's my girlfriend. I wish she would do. I would love her. I would love for her to join like the MCU.
I found a picture I took her when she was there promoting Nikita.
Okay. Oh, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, see that now Nikita in the room is like, yeah, that one was dope. That was the phone. That was my joint, yo. That show was fire because the storylines were good. The fight sequences were really good. This is television budget, but their fight sequences was on point. You know what I mean? So they had some nice fight sequences, and she is perfect for that role because she reminds you of like even though she did the original La Femme Nikita wasn't Asian, but she was like kind of thin and some of that, like Maggie Q with that thin, slim body. It looked like those type of physiques when they're doing like just like Charlize Theron. I mean, Charlize Theron is got that long, slender type body, and they look great when they're doing fight sequences. You know what I'm saying? The long limbs. It looks great. You know what I'm saying? As we talked about yesterday on the director's cut, Charlize Theron was great. He'd be a perfect Mystique in the MCU. Charlize Theron would be the perfect Mystique. She got the long limbs. She's already got the physicality. She'd be perfect. She'd be perfect as Mystique. So that's how Maggie Q was as far as Nikita. She just had that, her fight sequences look extra good. Like the other chick that was on there, she was also very pretty. I forget her name, but she was a little like thicker. I mean, she wasn't thick, but I mean, compared to Maggie Q, she was a little thicker. The white chick that was on there, and her fight scenes were dope, but they didn't look as good. Like I don't know, it's something about the slim, type of thing. When they do those fight sequences, it just looks better. You know what I mean? It just looks better. So, I don't know. It's all good. But that was my show right there. So, yeah. So, anyhow, that show, let's talk, not to veer away from it. And I don't want to, I definitely not, I said to you guys, the movie, the Fatal Affair, I'm just going to be real brief with this. Like I said, it was entertaining because I think the actors did a good job. But the story is it's a story that's been told 100 times over. 100 times over. The whole Fatal Attraction, but reversed. And then you had that movie with Beyonce. It's the same type of movie, you know what I'm saying? Like that movie. And you're like, we talk about what was the movie that Michael Lee said? Michael Lee was that movie. Preview. Let me know to the bed or something. Yeah. I know. This going hot under the bed. Michael E, like I said, you did your thing, bro. But Team Light Skin, he was going to hell, not for losing the light skin. But Team Light Skin, he really good. Team Light Skin. And he did his thing, man. He did his thing for Team Light Skin. And he really broke out of that pretty boy persona with that film. Like, yo, had the girls feeling creepy for a minute. Like, oh, wait a minute. but he ain't so sexy no more. He's creepy now. That's what's that. So you're an actor, brother. You did your thing. You're an actor, so you were supposed to be creepy. Good. So now Omar Epps, I think his performance was pretty good on the film. He's pretty, he's pretty creepy. He got Omar Epps got those eyes, dude. Like he's got that look. He had the hat down low, and he's standing there. It looked like he put on a little weight for this film. I don't know if he meant to do that, or if they just caught him on that his quarantine body. I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
But I mean, all I was a little thicker. It just was, and but he looked. I think the weight made him look even more sinister. It seemed like he looked more intimidating. And he may have put the weight on for the film. He looked more intimidating though, and I was like, "Yo, this dude looks hey." But I'm watching it, and I'm like, and every time. I feel like this one, even though you haven't seen it, you can hear him talk with us.
Wait. It's like really static.
Okay, yeah, I have a little problem with that. Hold on a second.
It sounds
better. Can you hear it better now?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, I gotta upgrade the equipment. I think I got a short here. This wire. I gotta change the so that movie, yeah. So you could sit and talk with us about it for 20 minutes, Ralph, and probably guess the entire movie. That's how many times we've seen this type of movie.
How many times? Fatal Instinct. We've seen.
That was the Attraction. Yeah, Basic Instinct. Fatal Instinct is the parody movie. That's the parody of all of those. The Girl Next Door. The Boy Next Door, whatever the hell it was called. The Boy Next Door.
The Boy Next Door.
Boy Next Door.
Somebody.
The Boy Next Door was a little bit different. It was a little bit different. I mean, the Boy Next Door was along the same line as the perfect guy.
The plot is definitely different, but meaning like the overall premise, the overall thing of it is the same. The character, an obsessive character. Now here's what makes his different is, this character, and I don't want to spoil for anybody that's seen it, but this character was very, he had a little issue going on, which most of them do anyway. Like the Boy Next Door, that character, he actually had an affair with Jennifer Lopez's character, which kind of, I probably have stalked her ass too. So, I mean, I'd be like, I don't want to give up on him. So, he probably, that was the thing, but it's all the same movie. You can guess the scene happening before it happened, and literally, I was sitting there watching it saying, "Oh yeah, he's gonna do this." And
I'm sorry, but
he's gonna do this.
They weren't doing together, then Attraction. I don't want to see it.
Well, let me tell you, Fatal Attraction. That's the bar. I mean, that is the bar. Period. No one's gonna really. That's the movie. She boiled the rabbit. A rabbit. Hell yeah. Rabbit cheese. Like a buzz friend. Rabbit cheese. Wile E. Coyote up in this. Yeah, what you cooking, Doc? Rabbit cheese. Rabbit. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. I mean, Fatal Attraction is just, right? And from that point on, it goes, Glenn Close. This was so good. That was, she was so creepy. Oh my God, it was so such a great movie that they did. Put together so nice. But this film, it's the same movie, but it was entertaining. I'm not going to tear it down because it was entertaining. You know, it was good to see Omar Epps again. It was good to see Nia Long. You know, another thing was, you know, in this one, is because it's reversed, it's kind of good to see. And I hate to say this, I don't want time effects or nothing. So it's kind of good to see the truth. And the truth too. You know what I'm saying? Every one of these movies is always the guy cheating. It's always the husband cheating on the wife. But wife cheated. Women cheated. So the fact that it came from that perspective, a little more real to me, that's real life. You know? So I was kind of cool with that too. You know, women actually cheat better than men. They're better at it than we are. You know, men maybe do it more. You know, they get caught at it all the time. That means, you know, they do it more careless. Yeah, I'm not going to blanket all men. I'm not going to blanket. I'm not going to blanket all men. That's what I said. I'm not going to blanket all men. A lot of men get caught. Some of us don't get caught. You know, but what I mean is, majority. We'll go by percentages. Good percentage of the men get caught, and the women don't. And then you just go on thinking that they never cheat, but they do cheat. They just don't get caught. They go to Jamaica. Right, they make it a whole, like Eddie said on Raw, they make it a whole thing. They go on vacation and they get up with Dexter St. Jock over in wherever he's at. And, you know, that is, that's what they do. And regardless of the fact that, because they make a whole thing with it, right? They, you know, everything's a secret and it's like, like Eddie, and like you said, Eddie Murphy put it for best. They take that and throw that skeleton bone right in the closet. You know what I mean? And be like walking around. All you do is you see them happier. Walking around. What movie was I just watching where he was like, I knew something was wrong. You see damn happy. What movie was that movie? He's like, I knew something was wrong. You walk around here. Oh, that was. I was just watching. Speaking of cheating, women cheating. Over the weekend, I watched Can't Buy Me Love. Let me bring Kaz back in. He's got going out. I watched Can't Buy Me Love. No, I'm sorry, not Can't Buy Me Love. Loverboy. Patrick Dempsey. Because I said during the week, as we know, the whole entanglement thing that went on with James Fagan, Will Smith, and all thing. Speaking of which, we mentioned on the show that August Alsina has now released a song called Entanglement. And the funny thing with Rick Ross, and funny thing about it is it's not half bad. It's not bad at all, actually. It's pretty good song. That's the funny part about it. You know, Rick Ross and they're doing this thing. But so now what we was talking about was, I remember earlier in the week I put up a graphic and I was talking about the movie Loverboy and the movie American Gigolo. I said I'm going to write remakes of those movies, and I know who I'm getting at. I'm getting at August Alsina to star in them, because right now, you know, the rumor circulated with him. You know, there's pictures of him that surfaced with Beyonce, and you know, Beyonce fans like, oh no, get away from Beyonce. And so, but these are old pictures. That's the side for you. Like, these are pictures when they were hanging out around the time her and Jane was having problems. But that's a whole other story. But bottom line is, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna remake Loverboy. So Loverboy, for anyone who may not have known, Patrick Dempsey, those people who know him now know him from Grey's Anatomy. But Patrick Dempsey in the '80s was he was red hot with film. He had a string of films going. He had a film called Run. He had a film called Can't Buy Me Love. He had a film called Loverboy, and a couple other ones too. But they were all like really like back to back. Yeah, he was a big actor in the 80s too, as a young actor. Can't Buy Me Love, for all of you that may or may not know, went on to the remake of that is Nick Cannon, another person we'll talk about tonight. Nick Cannon's film Love Don't Cost a Thing. That was basically a remake of Can't Buy Me Love, even though the filmmaker didn't want to admit that. Yeah, it sucked. It was okay. I mean, to me, it was just like, all right, whatever. It's fine, you know. It was a remake. It was the same movie, except with black people, basically. You know what I'm saying? So it was, but Can't Buy Me Love, same exact storyline. All he did was change like his occupation, his name, and the fact that he's black and the main girl was black. That's really was only changed. But The Loverboy is a film starring Patrick Dempsey, and he's a kid who's a college kid who basically is flunking out of college, so his parents won't pay for his tuition no more. And now he's got to work a job. He's got to pay for his own tuition to get back to college, get his girlfriend. So what he ends up doing is running into a woman. Just coincidentally, he runs into this woman that kind of takes to him, older woman. He likes him because she's rich. She ends up getting up with him. She orders pizza so he can deliver it, so she can deliver him. Deliver him to the bedroom. And, he has sex with her. Boom, 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 hangs out with her for a while. She gives him money. So then she leaves town because she's like this rich chick, right? And she sets him up and starts putting out there like all her rich friends passing his number around. So they keep ordering pizza, and they have to order pizza with extra anchovies. That's how you know that it's that type of job. And he has to go to deliver the pizza. When he delivers the pizza, he's also delivering the meat to the woman that he's delivering the pizza to. And he's getting paid, so he becomes a gigolo. And he's just making money so he can pay his own tuition to get back to his girl. Isn't that hilarious? He's like, I want to get back to my girl. He does college, and my father won't pay the tuition no more. And there's a whole bunch of other, little subplot twists in there. But the point is, August Alsina is on his way to becoming the industry gigolo. Because it's like, with that whole thing, when those pictures of Beyonce popped up with him, oh boy, that was hilarious. And I'm like, look at these women, man. Because, let's be honest, August Alsina, at one point, he was that dude. Like, when he first came out, everybody was trying to get next to him. They all wanted, because he's talented. He is talented. You know what I'm saying? As a singer. And, people wanted to get next to him, man. So, and you know how Jay-Z and Beyonce do. When someone is hot, they go and buddy up with them. And, you're going to see them pop up in a picture or two with somebody that's, that's hot at the moment. They do it all the time, So, but you have like 2 or 3 pictures with August Alsina and Beyonce. Some people are like, oh no, stay away from Beyonce. It's so funny, man. It's just too funny. But anywho, I want him to be the star of my movie, my remake of American Gigolo and Loverboy, where he's delivering the pizzas with extra anchovies. And the women is like going crazy. So speaking of which, with also my Love Don't Cost a Thing, Nick Cannon is in the news. We talked about Nick Cannon last week briefly. So these stories, they carry over for a couple of weeks, So now the latest thing with Nick Cannon was he apologized for his alleged anti-Semitic remarks. Whether they were or not, I'm not here to judge that. But if a group of people get offended by something you say, then it was offensive. So he made his remarks. He apologized for them after he was fired from Viacom. So he fought tooth and nail. He thought he didn't have to apologize to Viacom, so he didn't. They terminated their relationship with him. In terms of that, you and the fans and everyone, we lost Wild 'N Out, pretty much, at least for now. And so now he's apologized, and he was able to keep his job at Fox, which is Masked Singer. And he caught some backlash behind it. He caught not just some, he caught a lot of backlash behind it, which is really puzzling to me. Because I said from the beginning, and when I put it on my Facebook, everybody was attacking me. I said I thought it was stupid. I thought it was a dumb move to do that. Not because what he's saying he didn't believe or wasn't true or anything like that. It's only because you know your situation better than we do. We all thought, up until this point, everybody thought that Nick Cannon owns Wild 'N Out. He doesn't. He doesn't own it. He got swindled. It got swindled in his own words. It got swindled out from under him by Viacom. So now, even knowing that, why would you make these remarks knowing that you are, when you do a podcast, just like we're doing a podcast, we're technically media. So we have to, we have the right to say our opinions on here, but what you want to do to be good media, you want to be as impartial and neutral as possible. You can say your piece and say your opinion, but especially on a big platform that's him, it's the Cannon. You know, your boss, even though we didn't know at the time, your boss is Jewish. So, you know, Jewish people have a lot of stake in most of broadcast media. We'll say that. Because, yeah, then Charlemagne came under fire for saying, "There's the one thing we know is Jewish people prove that they got the power." I don't even F with Charlemagne like that, but I agree with what he's saying, and I don't think what he said was wrong either by saying that. But that he came under fire for that, and he was just saying, I can't wait to see the day that we're able to fire people for saying something offensive against black people. But until we're bosses, until we're in that position, you can't do it. My point is, what I agree with about that whole situation is, and why I said that Nick Cannon, I said it was a dumb move, just for this now, because this is what happens. You put your thing out there, right? You put your faith in your people, quote, 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 that are going to supposedly support you. And then the moment you say something that they don't like, they're ready to cancel you. So here's the deal. This will happen no matter what. What's different 24 hours? This will happen no matter what you do. 24 hours. Everybody back on again. What's going on with this thing? Hold up. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Is it that tour?
Can you hear you?
You hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, he says what he says, and everyone is, not everyone, mostly black people, a lot of people, not just black people, supported him. They're like, okay, yeah, you didn't say nothing wrong, but you didn't say nothing wrong pretty much to all the people except for the people that you spoke against. So the people that got offended by it just happen to be the people or the race of the people or ethnicity, what you want to call it, the people that sign your checks, brother. So, anybody, regular job. Let's take a regular job. You know, you work for a company. The boss of the company is, you know, whatever, British. Let me say that. You walk in there and talk. You say something that is considered, you know, offensive to a British person, and the boss hears you. Chances are you're going to lose your job. That doesn't remove Nick Cannon from anybody else who's regular, because all the people that cheer him on, not all of them, but a lot of the people that cheered him on and say, yeah, they're not doing that at their jobs. So it's easy to say, yeah, but you're not doing it at your job. Because why? You don't want to lose your job. You want to feed your family. You got to do what you got to do, right? It's different, or you thought it was different with Nick Cannon. It ain't no different with Nick Cannon. What he does, unfortunately, because he got Wildin' Out taken from him, or whatever he did. I don't want to say he got it taken, but he said swindle. The word swindle, what that means is he gave it to them. He signed it over to them. That's what he did. For whatever reason, he signed it over. That's what swindle means. It wasn't taken from him. It wasn't manipulated from him. It was, you know, when swindle and manipulated the same thing. In fact, let's call that what it is. It was a swindle. He probably did not read his contract, and he was looking more. He was looking more like most of these entertainers do. They don't. They're so busy looking at the bag and the amount of money that they're getting. They don't think of longevity. They don't think of, you know what, this is my future if this gets syndicated. Because now they can syndicate his old stuff, and he'll still get a bag. He'll still collect something off of it, but he won't get the bag that he's supposed to get. Now, hopefully, the contract is structured in a way to where he'll still make money from which he should, regardless of whether he's on there or not. He still should be able to make money if the contract was secured right. But, you know, if he signed away his rights to Wildin' Out, he probably did it for a bag, not thinking long term, which is kind of weird coming from him because he always seems to make the right decision when it comes to that stuff. I mean, look at his position with Nickelodeon and all the other stuff. Yeah. So he makes good business decisions. I don't understand this one, and the only thing I can equate it to was he saw a bag and relating himself to other people just to be on the come up, just like, look at me, I'm gonna secure this bag. And well, I mean, we don't know. I would love to ask Nick what happened with that situation. Why did you come to the determination that you were swindled? You know, he said that he started Wildin' Out with his own money. So he legitimately started the show. He created the show. And like you said, he started with his own money. And the fact that you left Viacom and you were not the owner of that show, I mean, unfortunately, I guess you're not as smart of a business person as I thought you were, Nick Cannon. No, let's be clear. Let's be clear about it. Nick Cannon did not start Wildin' Out with his money. Nick Cannon started Wildin' Out. Wait a minute. Nick Cannon started Wildin' Out with Mariah Carey's money. Well, regardless, he's married to Mariah Carey, so that's still his money. First of all, Nick Cannon had money already. I don't believe he started that with Mariah Carey's money. Nick Cannon already had bread. He already had bread. Yeah, so you got to remember with he had Nickelodeon and stuff like that. Yeah, he already had the bag secure with Nickelodeon, so he had bread already. I do not think. Let's just say, even if he did start, what I think happened is that when him and Mariah got divorced, you know, Mariah Carey wanted something from him. If anything, he probably was thinking about his kids and her, because she probably wants something right now. So he found the right to give her a settlement. Right. Number two, I'm going to say he probably didn't think Wildin' Out will last as long as it has.
Probably a people.
We probably about maybe been on MTV 2, maybe 3 years. I think now it's been on
What, like 8 years?
what, like 8 years?
It's been on like 14 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has like 14 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of it. I mean, they usually do like, they were averaging like 2 seasons in a year. But
right.
Still, yeah, it's been on for a while. But I mean, whether he knew or thought it was going to go far or not, the point is this: if you started, wherever his money came from, and I already know, Nick Cannon had read before he met Mariah Carey. So even if he did use part of Mariah Carey's money with him, it's still their money, it's still his own money. He did not get any money from a production company or whatever, or a studio to start Wildin' Out. So at first, Wildin' Out, I guess, it's only his. Somewhere along the line, he signed it over to them. It's that plain and simple. And he signed it over to them. It's just like, I mean, you know, Bob Johnson started BET. And then he signed it over. But, I mean, so my point is, I think the problem with Nick is, if he signed it over, he didn't get the benefit that Bob Johnson got for signing over BET. You know what I'm saying? Bob Johnson got paid, signed it over, and stepped. Exit stage left. Nick, so my point is this. He said that this was at his own words. He said he started Wildin' Out with his own money, built the brand up. The brand became MTV's most popular hip-hop-based show. Actually, one of the most popular hip-hop-based shows on cable TV, too. Right? It spawned, not spin-off, but like they said, he said like a restaurant franchise, and which I didn't know about that. You know, first the shows, the concerts, the live performances. And it broke a lot of, you know, upcoming comedians and actors, you know, really kind of helped break them and help put them on another platform. So it did a lot. It's made its mark in the culture, right? And for him to leave it without, you know, leave wherever without having the ownership of it, that's a bad move. I'm sorry, it's a bad job. I mean, you know, whatever the case may be, have to. It's the same thing on every platform. This is the television platform, but it's the same thing on the music platform. You know, the music platform would be like publishing. It's like, you know, people who own your publishing, so you're not getting paid for songs that you wrote. You know what I'm saying? In the TV film game, it's intellectual property. Your IP never, ever, 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 ever sign over your intellectual property. And when you do that, you're basically telling them, hell, do what you want. You can throw me out if you want. I mean, if you're going to do it, you better be doing like, you know, securing a bag so big that you don't need that show. You know what I'm saying? If you get in a bag that you don't need to show, like what Bob Johnson did, he said, I don't need BET if I can walk away with, you know, $1 billion or whatever, you know what I mean? But you don't. But if not, that is wrong. You never sign over your intellectual property. So somewhere along the lines, he said in his own words, I'm paraphrasing, but in his own words, he said, he said, due to like him basically trusting, I'm paraphrasing, trusting the wrong people and blah blah blah, he got swindled. That word, exactly that word, swindled out from under him. Oh, well, I didn't hear that part. I didn't hear he said that. Yeah, he said he trusted the wrong people. Like I said, I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say it exactly in those words, but he said, use the word trust. So I got to find the quote and I'll read it verbatim, but it was like a tweet or whatever. And he basically said, because of this, trusting the wrong people and blah, 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 they swindled Wildin' Out from under him, and he feels that they should give him the ownership to it, because he built it, started with his own money, and blah, blah, blah. But, bruh, I hate to say it, you're right, they should, but they sure won't. It's just that plain and simple. Because guess what? If I got something, I got something, and you give it to me, you gave it to me, you know, or even sold it to me. That don't mean I'll give it back to you. You know what I'm saying? Just because you created it.
And it's not even a question of big things. It's not even a consideration that needs to be made. Like, you make the choice of trusting people and not following up on the deal. Well, the golden rule of the industry is your lawyer watches your accountant watches your lawyer, you get another lawyer to watch them, and then you're watching over all of them. You have to watch your money and your paperwork. You're the overseer. It's your brand. You're the overseer of your brand.
You gotta watch it. I can't really say that I don't have any sympathy. I'm not saying I have sympathy, but I can't really have much sympathy for because I don't know what the circumstances are, but you got to do that. We've always bigged up Nick Cannon for his business since, because he's always been, out of that whole Wildin' Out crew, he's been the most successful. Not Wildin' Out, that whole all that crew from Nickelodeon, all of the people from all that, he has been the most successful, right? And you didn't really see that coming at first. I mean, he was good on that show too, but you know, you had Nick Cannon from that show. You had Amanda Bynes. Everybody thought Amanda Bynes was going to be the most successful. You had Amanda Bynes from that show. You had Keenan and Kel. Keenan, you know, is now starting to get to that level of success because he's got his own show on NBC now. He's been on SNL for some years. He's just now getting to that level where you're saying, okay, he's getting really successful now. But you would have thought because they had the more popular show on Nickelodeon. You know, when they broke off from all that and they did the Keenan and Kel, so their show was more popular. So Nick Cannon rose up from that and he became the most successful out of all of them. And you thought at a young age he was making some good business moves. And it's like, okay, so I always gave him credit for that. And hey, I don't know what happened, what's the circumstances behind it, but this was not a good business move. Period. Wasn't a good business move. So I can't say I feel sorry for him. So my whole point is this. So he tweets that he does that. Everyone's saying, yeah, you know, that's right. Stand your ground. And then he loses his job, or loses his brand, threats to lose his second job. Because remember, the great Shaquille O'Neal once said, in order to be a successful millionaire, you need multiple streams of income. That's exactly what he said. And why do you think even millionaires always have multiple streams of income? Because, or at least the successful ones do, because that's what you need to be a successful millionaire. Because once you become a millionaire, you start spending like a millionaire. So your money is not going to, you know, unless you just live in a straight, humble life. If you like Keanu Reeves up in this motherfucker, and, you know, walking and riding the bike and taking the train and living a humble life, that's different. But once you become a millionaire, your bills become billionaire bills. Your house is, you know, your car notes, your house, even if you have those, your bills, period, become millionaire bills. So, bottom line, you know, he started losing his other job. So he apologized the next day or a couple days later. And all of a sudden now he's public enemy number one. Well, he was already public enemy number one to a certain group of people. Now his own group of people, you know, the black community or whoever, urban community, hip hop community, whoever supports them, right? So you got a lot of backlash from that. Not everybody, but a lot of them. So he tweets out some, you know, random weird ass tweet talking, you know, where, you know, of course, you know, the blogs and TMZ, they're all going to run with it because they just going to see what he says. He says, yeah, I heard an entire community and it pained me to my core. I thought I thought it couldn't get any worse. Then I watched my own community turn on me and call me a sellout for apologizing. And then he adds, "Good night, enjoy Earth." Right? So automatically people are thinking, "Oh my God, is that a suicidal thought type of tweet or whatever?" And whether it is or not, you know, I mean, I look at it like that could be. I don't read into stuff like that all the time. Hell, we could have did an I and said enjoy Earth. You know what I'm saying? So, it could be a million things, but it means that. Or just the fact that, this planet is weird. I just need to get off. There's a lot of ways you can zone out and leave Earth, so to speak. So, with all that, but my point is bringing
Nick Cannon. What about Breonna Taylor? What about Breonna Taylor?
Well, like I said,
what about Breonna Taylor's killer? What about that?
Yeah. Well, we talk about Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon is a television. We don't do politics, and we don't believe that's our politics. And hold on. I don't know why the hell. What's wrong with this microphone?
It's not your microphone. It's not your microphone. It's the feed. The feed does that every once in a blue moon. It's not your microphone because your microphone is stationary. It's the feed itself.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody said I sound like a robot. It's a robot sound.
Yeah, that's just your internet breaking up.
Internet feed doing its little. Yeah, that's what happens sometimes. I think sometimes when it's just too much information going in at one time, maybe if we're talking over each other or something like that. And then sometimes even when I'm talking about myself, it does it. So apologize for that, people. But bottom line is this, Nick, I hope you can find a way to get Wild out. But it was my solution. But you had Diddy and all these people, come to Revolt, a truly black-owned company. Okay, Diddy. Shut up. That's number one.
Why you gotta shut up? Why you gotta shut up?
I'm gonna tell you why. Give me a second. So, number two, Nick Cannon, that'd be the worst thing you ever did. Is go to Revolt or anything that Diddy is in charge of. Because simply for the fact that the reason why I'm saying he has to shut up is, yes, Revolt itself may be black owned, but Revolt still has to rely on cable and stuff like that. That is not black owned communication company for it to survive. It's not self-sustained. It's not like he has a website, it's strictly on the web, and then it's an app, and you can get it all broken. It is an app, but what I'm saying is, for it to really survive, it needs to go, he's dealing with Comcast, it's a different communication company. So yes, whereas that particular brand may be black owned, but it relies on other stuff.
But that's not different than owning ET or anything else.
No, I'm not saying that it is. But my point is, my main thing is Nick Cannon. You can't do that because you don't want to work with Diddy on it. Diddy, like I said, it's a dope gesture. I get it, and that's cool that he's showing support. But that wouldn't be a good move. That wouldn't be a good business move on Nick Cannon. So unless he really he'd have to really get off with it.
I don't think they wouldn't. I mean, it's network. It's network TV. If anything, Sean is going to make sure that just like the Joe Budden show and all the other shows, but particularly because it's Nick Cannon, that's a whole nother level. He's going to make sure that everything goes the way it's supposed to, and everything's going to be 100.
What do you mean everything goes the way it's supposed to? I'm just talking about straight doing business with Diddy. Because I'll send you $100 if you can tell me right now anybody that's done business with Diddy that is very successful at this moment. Meaning, got their own money, is a millionaire, or whatever the case may be. Because most of the people that's worked with Diddy, since he's been in this business, is either broke, in jail, or dead. Or they owe him.
Answering that question, are we all including Mary J. Blige in it?
Did you say Remy Ma? Yeah, they got bread, but they ain't got no bread. They got bread, but that doesn't matter. They're on a show that's on that platform. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, they're on a show that's on that platform, and let's see. I'm not even going. I don't even need to look up what Remy Ma is pulling from that show. It's probably not a lot. So my point is, Diddy, if you go by history, why would you? The person he should be seeking out, Nick Cannon, you should be seeking out Byron Allen, because Byron Allen truly is a black-owned communications company. Byron Allen owns at the same time, Byron Allen also still has to depend, just like everybody else, on Comcast, Optimum, and whatever other platforms are carrying that signal. So it's the same thing. It's no Byron Allen's just on another level, but it's still the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Byron Allen is truly the boss of his communications network. Diddy is not. He's the boss of Revo. But what I'm saying is Byron Allen owns network, communication company, channels. That's what he owns. So therefore, anything that comes under that. Listen, the only difference between Byron Allen and Diddy is the fact that Byron Allen owns more networks. He owns more channels than Diddy does. Diddy only has Revo, whereas Byron Allen has the other channel. He has a couple of different channels that he has. The difference is Diddy owns a network. Byron Allen owns a media communications company. That's different.
The person that Nick Cannon needs to be reaching out to is Oprah. If anything, he needs to be reaching out to Oprah. Oprah can solve all.
Actually, no, he's not on the level of contact because he's not shooting. Byron Allen is not shooting out his own signal. He's not doing that just because he's behind the times. That's really his only issue, because that's the issue that a lot of people have said about Byron. He needs to get with the 21st century, and he's not doing it because he's not capable of doing it. It's just that he just hasn't done it. He's still on that old school shit. So, but he is on the level of those type of communications companies. You know what I'm saying? So that's where he's definitely on a higher level than Diddy. And like I said, why would you want to do business with Diddy given his nature, given his history with doing business? You know what I'm saying? The only person who's really a multi-millionaire who's ever done business with Diddy is Diddy. You know what I'm saying? Just go down the line. Go down the line. You tell me one person. Because Mary J. Blige was not signed directly to Diddy. That's Records and Bad Boys. Let's talk strictly reverse. Doesn't matter. It's still a business. It's still his business then. That's what I'm saying. You can only go on, but you can't really. You can't. Revolt is not. Revolt is an average network right now. Okay, so I can't use Revolt to judge him because he hasn't really blown like that with Revolt. He just had so the Breakfast Club. A lot of people stream through Revolt. The Breakfast Club streams through Revolt. Okay, what else? You got James Biden's podcast, and there's a couple of things that stream through Revolt.
podcasts that stream through Revolt. So it's not like it's a platform. If anything, it would be more of a help to Diddy than it would be to Nick.
Of course.
But still, it's still black owned. It's still a move that he can make. It's not something that
he can make that, but I believe it's not a smart move, because how can you? Diddy hasn't proved himself to be trustworthy, so why would you trust him when it comes to the business? He hasn't proved himself to be trustworthy.
If he hasn't proved himself to be trustworthy, then iHeartRadio wouldn't allow their show to be shown on his Revolt channel. Through his Revolt channel.
No, that's not true. Because here's the deal. Whether or not people want to, Diddy serves his purpose now in this business. You know what I'm saying? He's still an outlet to an urban market and things of that nature. So it's not that he's not useful. But like I said, I wouldn't recommend it. And I believe I believe Nick Cannon could take Wild 'N Out, but the brand is so big on its own. It has such a following on its own. Nick could do something else. You don't have to go to Revolt. You don't have to go to Oprah if you don't want to. Nick Cannon could strike his own deal somewhere. Even if he struck a deal, if he put that shit on YouTube, people would follow him. They're following the brand. They're following the brand. They're following the show. That's what it is.
No, I disagree with that one. They're not following. They're not following the show. They're following the. You can make this. You can actually. You can make that same kind of argument for the Dave Chappelle show. Once Dave Chappelle left, nobody wanted to see the Dave Chappelle show.
That's what I'm saying. Well, what I mean by following the brand, okay, I get what you're saying. What I mean by following the brand is they're going to follow him with the brand. That's what I'm saying. They're going to follow him with what because it's still his formula. I agree with you. If MTV continued to show Wild 'N Out without Nick Cannon, it would not be as popular. We know that. That's what I'm talking about. I understand you there. But what I mean is if Nick Cannon said, okay, I just struck a deal with YouTube, multi-million-dollar deal with YouTube. I am going to put Wild 'N Out is going to be on YouTube now. And let's just say he doesn't own the name anymore. Well, I'm going to do my show. I'm going to bring the Wild 'N Out brand. He can call it something else. And from there, he can bring his same cast members doing the same formula of what he's doing. He will be successful. The people that watch Wild 'N Out will go watch this. If he wanted to call it Nick Cannon's Wildin', or whatever.
But even with that one, I don't think that's going to happen either, because more than likely MTV wasn't the people. They probably signed all those people that are like the core people for Wild 'N Out. They probably signed their own contracts.
I think the show has been dropped. So if the show's been dropped, they're dropped.
But they would still be under contract. And number two, if he does take it to someplace else, he can't call it Wild 'N Out. He's gonna have, because now MTV owns that name.
Yeah, he called it something else. But I believe even if he calls it something else, if everyone knows it's still the same formula, the Wild 'N Out fans will go and watch it. That's my point. That's what I mean by it.
I could say for a fact that if he went to YouTube, and I got 2 points to make on it. If he went to YouTube and got to deal with YouTube right now, it would work for 2 reasons. One, right now on Facebook, even through Facebook, and this was up until he made the statement that he said, and then I'm pretty sure Mark Zuckerberg made sure that Wild 'N Out was pulled out of rotation. But when you're watching a video on Facebook and then it jumps you over to that other page with all those videos, there was a consistent breakdown of the dry bar. You would have the dry bar comedy special, and then you'd have Wild 'N Out. Dry bar, Wild 'N Out. This, Wild 'N Out. They basically were playing.
And think about it. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, Kev. Go ahead.
Yeah, they were basically playing the best episodes of Wild 'N Out. And then you got to think that YouTube was going over to YouTube, and he just started his own channel, and also YouTube has its own network right now, and YouTube has its own streaming service right now. that carries BET, MTV, carries all of that.
Yeah.
So right now, like for instance, Young Turks, Young Turks has their own channel on YouTube. On YouTube, I should say YouTube TV to be more specific.
Yeah.
On YouTube TV, Young Turks have their own network. Who's to say that they can't start his own network and that be one of the shows on his network or YouTube TV? Once he gets his numbers up, and he can buy space onto that platform, that's another way he can go. So he definitely can make it
Executively. And his only other option of his would be to, if he didn't do that, which I think would be his best option. Another option he could do is take his talents on over to Netflix, and they'll give him $100 million deal to develop his own shows, because Netflix hands out $100 million deals like it's going out of style. So they'll give him $100 million to put Wildin' Out or whatever show he developed or shows he developed on Netflix. Netflix don't go by nobody's rules except Netflix. So they do not care about the FCC and all these other people that these networks have to abide by. Netflix calls their own shot. So if you come over there,
this is what Netflix is concerned with is this. When we bring Nick over here, how many subscribers are coming with him?
How many subscribers are coming with him? Exactly. That's all they care about. Because to add to their 190 million subscribers that they already have. So if he went to Netflix, if Nick Cannon walked into Netflix right now, I guarantee you they would give him a huge deal that he can develop multiple shows, not just another show like Wildin' Out. Let's throw Wildin' Out the window, meaning like the name. Let's say that he never gets the name back. He's like, okay, but here's the deal, bro. It don't matter about the name. It's the formula. He created the formula. He has the recipe. So you can make all the, cats can make, they can make it and use your whatever, make all the food they want. But if you have the recipe, you can recreate it. So he did another show. It's just like if he did a spinoff show. Let's just say he decided to say, okay, if this never happened, and he decided to say, hey, DC Young Fly is very popular. We're going to spin him off into his own show. Similar show to Wildin' Out, but it's his own little thing, and he's got this going on, whatever. The people, that he can do that same thing. He can take this now, especially now that Wildin' Out is gone from MTV. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have to compete with it. So when he goes to something else and call it Nick Cannon's Wildin', whatever. Just throwing that out there. Whatever he wants to call it. And he still has the same formula. He's got upcoming comedians. And even if what you said was true, Ralph, those guys are locked into their contracts. Once again, it ain't about them, even though people love them. But he's proven. It ain't about the current cast. It's just the cast is turned over and over.
Check your feed.
The cast has turned over and over a bunch of times. So it's not even about the current cast, even though people love the current cast. But people love the cast from the past as well. It's not about that. The only consistent thing is the formula and Nick Cannon. That's all you need for this. That's the success right there. And that's why, MTV, they're not going to try to continue Wildin' Out. I'd be very surprised if they tried to do that. It's not going to work. They may, maybe to be petty, but it won't work. It won't work without Nick. Just like you said, Ralph, just like the Chappelle Show. You kept everybody that was there except Chappelle, but it's Chappelle's show. that wasn't going to work. With him, I think if Nick brings it to, I would say his top two prospects should be YouTube and Netflix. And maybe throw Amazon in the mix. Throw Amazon Prime in the mix. But I say Netflix and YouTube. Because Netflix is quicker to give out a better deal. Netflix is giving out better deals than Amazon. Period. Amazon is not giving out as good from, the amount of money that Netflix is giving to people for, they did it Kenya Barris, left ABC. Disney, ABC. So did Shonda Rhimes. They both left ABC. And they now both have $100 million, $200 million deals at Netflix to develop shows. Shonda Rhimes, does she have to bring Grey's Anatomy or Scandals to Netflix, even though they do show it, they licensed it and showed it. But she don't have to bring those shows there. She's going to develop new shows. That's the point. You have the recipe. You are the creator of the recipe. You can always create something dope or just as dope or dope. So that's my point with that. That's what I mean by it wouldn't be the best move. Let's just say Diddy decides he doesn't air his ways and he decides to do business the right way, and Nick is going, he does a good deal with Nick as far as split of the money or whatever the case may be. It's still not the best deal or the best move. Because it's not like Revolt is, it is right now it's like an average network, and you got a group of people that watch it, but Revolt is mostly watched by urban and hip hop community, right? Whereas MTV, although that show was considered a hip hop urban based community, MTV is watched by everybody. But so is YouTube, and so is Netflix. So there you have it. That's my take on the Nick Cannon situation. And as far as the alleged suicidal thoughts and tweets, I don't really believe that, but whatever.
That's the speculation. That was no suicidal thought. He just doesn't enjoy her, meaning exactly what enjoy.
That's what I said. That could be a million things. I didn't think that at all. So it could be a million things. But the bottom line is, Nick, you made a mistake. That was a mistake thinking that, doing that, what he did. It doesn't matter what he said.
But did he really make a mistake? I mean, Nick Cannon's been saying this for a while. He's saying this for a while now. So why is that? Now he got to be taken off the air.
Listen, the only mistake that Nick made, and Rosenberg even pointed this out, and I was glad that he said this because it was a point that I missed because I didn't hear Nick say this. And I didn't know he said this until I heard somebody else mention that he said it. The only thing that he did say wrong was when he was saying about Semitic people. What he didn't understand was that with Germany, they actually knowing that that black people are the original Semitic people, that they grouped the Jews in with that. And knowing that the blacks are the original people, they did group the Jews in with that to make them a Semitic, to make them quote unquote Semitic. So just so they could have a reason to persecute them, even more of a reason to persecute them, along with everybody else that they were persecuted. So that was the only, along with maybe one or two other things that were very small, but which was the reason why he apologized. His first apology I didn't agree with, and his second apology when he apologized after he spoke to, and again I don't know which rabbis he spoke to, but he did speak to a couple of rabbis. There were some other people who spoke to him that gave him, like some sound advice behind the scenes. So that was him being a man and apologizing, because that's what a man does. If you what you're supposed to do, and the thing is this: if you make a statement, no matter what the statement is, right, and even if you still that statement in your heart is true, right?
But you offend people or a group of people, you should apologize. I'm sorry. Just apologize. No. And I'm sorry that I offended you.
No, see, here's why. Here's the point why you shouldn't apologize for that. And there are multiple people who agree with what I'm saying. The reason why he shouldn't apologize with what he said, because it's just like when you call Israel out for the illegal stuff that they're doing in Palestine right now. When you say that, as soon as you mention the fact that how they're the West Bank, how they're moving into the West Bank, and they're slowly pushing the Palestinian people out of the West Bank, as soon as you mention that, all of a sudden you're anti-Semitic because you're saying that. And that's a giving fact of what Israel is doing.
Well, if that's something that you can reference that might even be going on right now, and that, something that you can literally look into right now.
But even with what Nick was saying, as far as genetics and blacks being Abraham being the seed of Abraham, that the seed of Abraham were originally blacks. The original Hebrews were people of color. They're from North Africa. That's where they're from. They're Cushites. They're Semitic people. That's a proven fact. Rabbi,
what you talking? I'm not debating that, right? I'm not debating none of that. My point is,
I told you from the beginning. My point is, the reason why I'm saying that, not to cut you off, my point is the reason why I'm saying that, even just like with people, with other people that have said that, even how they take sour concepts out of context. You say that, but automatically you're anti-Semitic. Even when you're making a fact and you're speaking a fact, the people in Hollywood or the Jewish community in general don't want to hear that. That's why Homegirl, that spoke, the white lady that spoke up for Tekara, she's like, what is he saying wrong? He didn't say anything wrong. Mm-hmm. What did he say wrong? Right. And everybody jumped on her to get on their side. I forgot what her name is, what the white lady's name is. But she, whatever her name is, I forgot what her name is. But she jumped on. She was like, "Well, he's actually not saying anything wrong. What is he saying wrong?"
Agreed. Like I said, all of that stuff is. I do not remember Mel Gibson apologizing. I don't remember Mel Gibson apologizing what he said.
But he caught hell. He caught a lot of hell.
But basically,
think about it. What's the last hit? What's the last hit movie that Mel Gibson made? Since all that stuff went down, Mel took hell for that now.
He did take hell.
No, I'm not saying that he backed up. What I'm saying is this. Maybe he felt he was in a position that he didn't need, he could still get his money. Maybe he got his money a certain way. We don't know. My point is this. We don't know what Nick Cannon's pockets is like. We don't know what his lifestyle is like. What he is, everyone only knows what's on the surface. So my point is, he had a job. He knows that if you do certain things on a certain platform, it could cost you your job. Or you gotta be willing to accept the consequences. Obviously, he has to accept it. That's why he said he takes full responsibility for his actions. Right or wrong, whether you think the consequences are wrong, whether you think they're right, the bottom line is, like I said, my most simplest way that I can explain it is just like I said at the top of the show. Take a person who's not a celebrity. You have your regular everyday job, and you are stating something that offends, even if it's fact, that offends your boss. Chances are you're going to lose that job. If you apologize for it, if they say you apologize for it, you may not lose the job, and you decide not to, and you lose it. That's your choice. With choices come consequences, right?
What I'm saying is this: that this is going, and you can do the same thing for Jamel Hill when she's voting against Trump. Every time it seems like a black person goes in and says what's on their mind, which is the truth, they get fired, all kinds of stuff. That person says the exact same thing. You just have a moment. You're making a stand. No, it's the same damn thing. Unless Nick Cannon,
and I agree with you. I'm not saying it's not right. I'm not saying that it's not wrong. I'm not talking about right or wrong. I'm talking about smart and stupid. Or not say stupid. Dumb move versus smart move. That's all I'm talking about. Not right versus wrong. That's the world we live in. This
scenario, is this not dumb move versus right move compared to right versus wrong? Are they not the exact same thing?
Nick Cannon did
not go up there. He did not go up there. He did not throw MTV under a bus. Did not throw Viacom under a bus. He told you what's going on in this world today. Same with Jamel Hill. You can say things I'm Captain. The same damn thing. And all of them get persecuted for this fact. But then you got jerk off on Fox News that's running their mouth about stuff. Nothing happens to them. Nothing happens to them.
Right?
Right?
Only thing that can happen to him is we vote him out.
What I'm saying is that we can sit here, and just off of Fox News, Trump,
and you can think of, he can not only point out what they said, but what they said was wrong.
What they said was wrong. What they out and said was lies. Tell me what Nick Cannon, Jamel Hill said that was even more. Tell me what they said that was even a lie.
I'm not here to talk about that. That's what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is my point is not about how accurate what they spoke was. All I'm saying is, one thing you do know, Nick, that you have a big platform. You also know that the people that own, you've been in this business long enough. So when I make the statement that Nick Cannon should know better, I said that because Nick Cannon's been in this business since he was a child. He's been in this business for years. And he's been behind the scenes. He's been on the business side of it. He knows what could and could not happen. It's that plain and simple. So that's what I mean by that's all that I meant by it being a dumb move. I say that because if you didn't think it was a dumb move, brothers, if you didn't think it was a dumb move, I'm telling you now, because if he wouldn't have apologized, no matter what his reasons for, if he wouldn't apologize, he would have lost the Fox job. Now he's following.
But that's the entire point. That's the entire point. The entire point. The only reason that he's apologizing is because somebody from Fox said, or buddy in his business said, this is what you do because it's in your best interest.
Nick Cannon sitting there telling that may or may not be true. I believe that, you believe that, but the bottom line is, if he says he's apologizing because he offended someone, you have to believe you don't have to, but you got to take him for his word. I'm sorry that I offended my Jewish brothers and sisters. I ain't trying to offend nobody. And if he was offended by what I said, I'm sorry. He never said, I'm sorry for saying it. He just said, I'm sorry that I offended you. Exactly. So he's not even apologizing for what he said. He's apologizing that they got offended.
Listen, no. And let's pause that. Not only did he say that, but let's add the addendum that he put on there. Because it wasn't just an apology for offending you. He said, I apologize, and let's have a conversation. Let's figure out what's right and
what is good. Yeah. What's offensive and what's not offensive, exactly. That's what he said. And that's the best way to go about it. Let's have a conversation. What do you think? Because the women from the few were awful. They were like Nick Cannon. No. What I'm saying is that's what comes out of the conversation. The women from the View was just like tearing them apart. Nick Cannon needs to learn his history, which was laughable to me. You need to learn your history. Huh? Isn't that kind of what he was doing? but that's besides the point. You know, that was them saying that, right? You know, even looking, all of them, they're saying it, right? And I'm just like, him saying that, you know, let's get a conversation going is, I love that he added that, because the only way you're truly going to get everybody's perspective and on the situation is to have a conversation. But at the heart of the apology is for, I didn't want to offend anybody. You know, obviously he didn't think he wouldn't have said it if he thought he was going to be. He's not a shock jock. He didn't say it for shock factor, and he didn't say it for, you know, offending anybody. He said it because he believed it, right?
That's what he sincerely felt out of the person.
That's how he feels, yeah. So that's why it's like, if you say something that you sincerely feel, but it's offensive to some other people, group of people, whatever the case may be, you apologize that they got offended. You apologize that you offended them. And that's what he did. And that's all they needed. That's all Fox needed. That's all anyone, you know, needed. Because it's like, well, that's for you. You're not going to think in my opinion, he was like, and he was didn't make an apology at all. He would have lost that job at Fox. He would have lost it. He would have lost it. But he didn't. That's the important thing. And, you know, as they're counting down over here, you know. If he didn't, so that's the important part. I wanted to say, let's see. There was a couple people here that, sorry, I got my hand, face all in the computer because I'm old. I ain't got no glass. So I'm trying to read what some of the people are saying in the chat room today. You know, they're chiming in. They're saying some good stuff. But, you know, I'll get to that when I can see it. So I'm going to be like, what is it? Control plus. Make my screen bigger so I can read the chat room. But, you know, he didn't get fired from Fox, which is good. And like I said, I think at this point, I feel it'd be best if he just go ahead and start over. Not start over, but start fresh, we'll say that. You know, because fighting, my question is it worth fighting Viacom for the Wild 'N Out brand? Is it worth fighting for it? I don't know. Maybe it is to him because that's his baby, right? It might be worth fighting, you know, but it's just like, I'm speaking from now everybody has to understand, I'm speaking from hey, I'm not Nick Cannon and I got the Nick Cannon money, whatever the case may be. But I'm speaking from experience. Coming from a dude who's had his stuff, now my stuff wasn't taken from me, or it wasn't swindled from me. My shit was just straight stolen. But that's besides the point. But coming from that level, okay, a few years ago, and maybe like 10 years ago now, you know, I did something with NBC, you know, with the show Heroes, and I wrote some stuff for it. I entered it into a contest that NBC had, and they took it from the contest. The project was called A Brave New World that I created, and from the Heroes brand, it was using the Heroes brand that I was part of the contest, and they took my concepts and they used them. And they didn't give me credit for them. So in turn, they stole it. And because it was a contest and I was using their brand to make that, to make my point, it made it easier for them to steal it from me, right? So just like, hate to speak, I don't want to speak ill of the dead or anything like that. Same thing with John Singleton. John Singleton and I met in 2009 at the American Black Film Festival. I then handed him a copy of my film Rebel. my film Rebel with me and my brother. We directed a film. We wrote and directed a film called Rebel back in like 2004 or something like that, right? So 2009 at the American Black Film Festival, I run into John Singleton. We meet, we talk, we shake hands. I give him the film. We hang out. We even partied that night together. And 2000 and whatever that was, 15 or 2016, whatever it was, on BET, lo and behold, there's a show called Rebel. Now, my film Rebel had a female lead character, law enforcement, stuff like that. Lo and behold, the film that came on BET, the TV series on BET, entitled Rebel, female lead, law enforcement, and of course you change some things because you got to. You can't blatantly do it because then you're setting yourself up with these things. I pursued, there's a point to this story. Then, I pursued, at that point I said, okay, this is the second time somebody done stole some shit. All right, now I'm going to get a lawyer. So I get a lawyer, right? I talk to the lawyer. The lawyer's telling me about stuff, intellectual property, blah, blah, blah. And then, even the lawyer said to me, the first thing the lawyer said to me was, well, the first thing you got to think about, Wes, is it worth fighting for? I said, what do you mean worth it? That's my movie. That was my shit, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, well, is it worth fighting for? Meaning, do you want to take on NBC or do you want to take on John Singleton in court? Or do you, is it that important to you? And if you want to do that, you have to, even if you came with solid evidence, and I did have solid evidence. I had the pictures. One thing in court, for an intellectual property court, you have to prove a few things. One thing you have to prove is that it's possible that it could have happened. You had to prove that I had to prove that I actually met John Singleton. I have the proof of that. I got pictures. I have, it's documented that I attended the 2009 American Black Film Festival and he attended it. Got pictures together. There's my proof that it's possible that it can happen. Then you can also have to prove that, what proof do you have that he actually took your idea or, some of your premise or whatever the case may be. Well, for one thing, if you look up and I remember I posted this on Facebook. If you look at even all the way down to the lettering for Rebel, the show Rebel that appeared on BET, it was, very, very, very close. I don't know if I can't say exact because the lettering the font that I used for my film Rebel was unique. It was made up by my graphic designer, Sal. Shout out to Sal Dayton and the graphic designer extraordinaire, best graphic designer in New York. But anyway, shout out to him. He actually made that font up. But the font is so close together, even from the title. Then you talk about the premise of it being law enforcement, female lead, this and that. Of course, you had to change some things. So after looking over that stuff, long story short, my lawyer said, she thinks I do have a case. But now you have to decide, is it worth it? Is it worth the long, drawn-out thing? Because I don't care how solid your evidence is. If Nick Cannon can prove without a shadow of a doubt, he created it, this, that, and the other, and he has solid evidence, it still can be dragged for years in court. Now, do you want this, in the meantime, you're fighting for this name, and now, out of sight, out of mind, if you don't start just another show or whatever, and you're waiting for the Wild 'N Out name, you are going to lose your fans at that point, the fans of the show, because they're going to get on to something else. So that's what my question is, Nick Cannon, is it worth fighting Viacom for the name just when I feel you can do it yourself and call it something else and start up a new one and you'll still have the people. That's my question. So I don't know. What do you guys in chat room think? They saying.
My final take on the whole thing is this.
The only mistake
that Nick made.
He's literally he's having a discussion.
Literally,
this is why I say
having a discussion.
This is the name of his show. It's about education. It's about educating the mind. It's about knowledge. It's about learning and knowing. He's having a discussion. He's having a discussion, and in that discussion, I think. And this is just like with anything else. Like the reason why we don't have
a true film stating the true facts about Egypt and the people of North Africa and of biblical times. The reason why we don't get those films is because they want to control the narrative. You have to.
The reason
why
they were so.
I'm going to make a statement on that, and you're half right about that. You're all right, but there's a caveat to it. You're all right about they want to control the narrative. But a reason why we're not getting those films is because we don't have any black gatekeepers. We could and we should, but we don't.
Right, but that's
people that are in that position that could be, but we don't. The bottom line is, if we had them, we would get those films made and distributed, no matter what the masses or what the what do they call the machine? What's the word I'm looking for?
You said in the first place.
No matter what the gatekeepers or the current gatekeepers, we don't have any black gatekeepers in place, which we could and we should, but we don't.
I was going to say that. I finished my thought with that. But the thing that Nick did wrong is because he wanted to control the narrative.
And it's the key point that you said, it's because of his reach. Because of the fact that if Nick didn't start out from Nickelodeon, if Nick didn't still have a hand that he could reach out to and still touch on a broader audience, like with what's going on today, if you look at all of the protests and everything, it's not just black and brown people that are protesting. It's European Americans. It's everybody is getting together and protesting. So when you have that, this is the problem that Hoover had, because they were disrupting the norm. And this is why I have such a problem with it, because this is what the Jewish powers that do. When you start speaking things that are contrary to what they want to hear, they have to control the information. They can't allow that to go in further. This is why they're so heavy on Farrakhan. This is why they're so heavy keeping us in a slave mentality. To go beyond that. The moment that we realize, who do we worship before we came to America, before certain black, because the other thing people need to realize too is that blacks were already here in America before blacks came here from Africa. They were brought here on slave ships. There were already blacks that were here. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other discussion. But that's something else that they don't want you to know. They want to keep the information, they want to control the. And that's one of the things that I can't think that you didn't think of when he was, and obviously this is how you know what he was saying was not coming from a place of malice, because he was just doing him. He was literally just doing him and not really trying to. It wasn't like he was trying to push an agenda. It wasn't like he was just speaking off of knowledge that he had, even though some of that knowledge was incomplete. He was speaking off of knowledge of what he had. Now, my final point.
Unfortunately,
pointed out, we don't. And I'll correct that. We do have the people that would be able to do it.
We do have.
They don't want to. Just like
no, I said that we have to. That's why I said we could and we should. That's what I meant by saying that. There are people that could be.
Yeah, and you notice it's just like with Ryan Coogler when Ryan Coogler mentioned doing Mansa Musa, doing a movie about Mansa Musa, actually the richest human being ever to walk the face of the earth, next to it, probably, because the amount of gold he had so much gold that the Europeans were going nuts trying to find. Like, and it's a true story. Like, Mansa Musa was a real person in Africa. That story wants to be, but as you know, 2 years ago that was a big thing. Ryan Coogler was talking about doing that. Now what do you hear about it? Absolutely nothing.
Oh, they probably killed that project. They probably like, nah, you don't need to do that. They'll be doing like what they did to my man Nate Parker. They'll be trying to find, old raping allegations to take his brain up.
Yeah, you know what? I honestly believe
that he made Birth of the Nation. He made that film, and that film did well at Sundance and everything. What happened? When he hit the open market, they start bringing up some old allegations that he was involved in, that he was completely exonerated of, and they bring it up to discredit him. And now, when was the last time we even said
you ain't seen him since then? Nothing.
Nope. And also, I believe that's the reason why. Honestly, I believe that's another reason. That was another reason, and another nail in the coffin of Michael Jackson for when he didn't remember the time. I honestly believe they're like, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're showing your people that these Egyptians are black?
I think that's a real stretch.
No, but it's not a stretch, because for a lot, honestly, a lot of people didn't know. Like what he's showing all these Egyptians, all of these people from this time are being shown as being people of color. And this is what I say, European people are people of color, but they're less melanated. A video about Egyptians that's all melanated? What? What is this?
Nah, I think that's a real serious stretch.
No, Ralph, it's not a stretch. You got to think. Around that time period, we had Public Enemy on the radio. You had Michael Jackson being conscious. There was a lot of conscious stuff going on around that time. Notice 2 years after that, all of that stuff was oblivious.
I will say this, as to what Kev's saying, I will say this, probably up until that point where I remember the time video was mainly, Hollywood always depicted Egyptians as white people. They never depicted Egyptians as melanated.
Unless they were slaves.
We all know that. Yeah, so my point is, I think his point is, that was something that was definitely out of the ordinary at that time. When he did at the time. And everyone in there, in the Egyptian, the Egyptian outfit, everyone in the whole video was black. Melanated, whatever you want to call it, but not European American, like they're projected in films of the past. So, ever since I was a kid, and like I said, I'm not going to get into so much things. Like, when I was a kid, back in the day when they used to like, I did a film when it was a Cleopatra film, and, whoever they had at the time was pretty girl like actors. I'm like, nah, I didn't think that's action. It's nice to see. That's the way I looked at it, from the way that the image stuff. So my point is, I agree with them on that. Whether or not they reacted to it, I don't know, but it definitely, I can definitely agree that it was different for that time. It's like, and Michael Jackson is very, who a lot of people don't realize that he never gets technical. Michael Jackson was very conscious, even though that seems like a a weird statement being, Michael Jackson did a lot to himself and whatever the case may be with the, with the surgery, blah, 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 blah. He had the logo, skin, right, and whatever. But he was very conscious about black culture and everything. So, that was obviously by design. It wasn't just because he wanted that. Because, Michael Jackson has had videos that had predominantly white dancers. Like, Bad had a good mixture of white and black dancers. You know what I'm saying? Other previous videos, Smooth Criminal had a predominantly white and a nice mix of black dancers in there as well. So that was by design. He wanted to make sure that everybody in this particular video were black. That wasn't by mistake. That was by design. So I can get where you're coming from with that. I know I can also get what you're saying, Rob. I can see why you would say that, but I can definitely get where he's coming from with that because it was by design. It wasn't by accident. It was by design, and it wasn't just because I'm doing a black version of Egypt. No, I'm doing Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So, I can get that too. A lot of, there's a lot of stuff that led to the demise of Michael Jackson.
I agree. There are a bunch of things. I don't think that video had any role in the demise of Michael Jackson. And I can
believe that it's part of his rebellion. I can believe that's part of that. Even if you go with the other song, they don't really care about us.
Yeah, that one I would say yes. That one I would say yes.
Yeah. Challenging the machine, right? He's challenging the system. He's challenging the gatekeepers with those type of imagery and songs, right? Exactly. That's
why I said what I said with that video. He was challenging the narrative of what the industry was out there.
I mean, let's be honest. Like same type of deal. If someone was bold enough to do a film about the Bible and had it predominantly with the skin tone that the people of that land really was, it probably wouldn't do well. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? Because it's already been beaten.
The European, I'll say it for you. The European Roman Catholic construct will not have it. They are not having it. As Mbaku would say it, we will not have it so. We will not have it so.
They will never so, exactly. Now, I mean, just like I said, Birth of a Nation is a perfect example. The moment you make a film that involves slaves and they're not getting their ass whipped, and trying to run away and all this other stuff, and it's like,
honestly,
we can't show nobody revolting and
honestly, I think that's why Sony wanted it. Let's get it, give him a bag, or whoever it was that bought it. I believe it was. That's why they snatched them up somewhere. They snatched them up. They snatched them up. They gave him a bag, and behind the scenes they was like, "Now we got to shut this down." Unfortunately, you gonna have to
Fox, I think.
Yeah, Fox. There you go. Now it's the same thing with Danny Glover. Danny Glover has been wanting to make for decades. Danny Glover has been wanting to make a movie about the Haitian Revolution. They do not want that to happen.
Yeah.
Oprah wouldn't get behind them. That's when I lost my respect for Oprah. Oh, Oprah, you can deal with Steven Spielberg, but now here comes a black man wanting to talk about black history and do a movie about the Black Rebellion, about slaves that actually rebelled. Yeah, that actually happened, and you can't get behind Oprah. I'm gonna be nice because we're on this live stream.
Let's be honest with you. Let's be honest about it. She's one of the people that could be our gatekeepers if she
definitely.
If that's it. choice words is if she chose to be. She could be one of the gatekeepers for blacks to black, browns, and otherwise to tell black.
That's why it's unfortunate. That's why it's unfortunate that people like Nipsey Hussle
should be told.
Yeah, that's why it's unfortunate that people like Nipsey Hussle are no longer with us. Because guaranteed, if that brother got his bread right, we would see some of this stuff. He would put his money behind it.
Lakeita says she's sick of the slave movies. I agree. I don't really want to see any more slave movies either. I'm all whipped out. Pun intended. So, it is what it is. But I wouldn't mind seeing a movie, like I said, now if they bought Birth of a Nation, should have got the burn that it should have got, that would have been a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It would have been a whole nother thing. People would look at it differently. Speaking of Black history, I don't even want to mention this idiot.
Do you think that's why? That's what I'm saying. You think the negativity that came with 12 Years a Slave really messed with the movie Harriet? No, she was nominated for an Oscar, but the movie really didn't come out. They were like, wait a minute, and then even when it was an Oscar season, it was still kind of like hidden. It wasn't.
Because I'll tell you why.
It was nominated.
Because that movie was not an accurate depiction of Harriet Tubman. It was listen. Can we do we have enough time? Do we have enough time to deconstruct Harriet? Do we have enough time to deconstruct Harriet?
No.
Because I will tell I'll put it like this. I'll make one point. I'll make 1 point and 1 point only. The problem, one of the problems with Harriet is the white savior mentality of Hollywood. The same thing they did with Black Panther. The same thing they did with Harriet.
Yeah.
They had to look at the guy.
I know what you're saying. It's the only way the stuff is going to make it across, because they got to have something in there. And I don't want to cut you off. Continue to make your point, because I know where you're going with it, and it's a great point. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
you take this character and you take a strong black character that's able to do. I mean, historically, this woman carried
sometimes literally. You're trying to tell me
the story that's about a courageous black that helped free slaves and helped them escape to the north. That there was this white savior that she had this battle with, that she had to ultimately had to kill or come along and save her, so that he can have her, so that him.
What's that?
That's not the story.
That was the big problem, and the biggest with that being added. That is not even part of her history. Exactly. That's not even factual. That's not even factual. And another reason people have problems with Harriet was the bounty killer, the bounty hunter, black bounty hunter, that was a made-up character that they put into that film as well.
Now there were blacks that worked with slave catchers, that worked with white slave catchers. They did exist at that time.
Yeah.
But that particular part was not a part of Harriet's story. They almost made it like this Negro had it out for Harriet. Like he wanted
to. Yeah, exactly. He was, so he was basically representing the sellout.
What's so crazy about it is they took him and made him look like the real bad guy, and then you have the white guy who is actually the real. He's the real bad guy, the real bad guy, and then he comes along and kills that guy, and it's like, oh, so he's really a good guy because he don't save Harriet. No, you stupid mother suckers. That's not what it is. It's the white savior complex of Hollywood.
White savior complex of Hollywood that has to be added in there It has to be added in there for it to be. If it's not, and it has to be in some. Let's get it straight. It has to be in some way, shape, or form. And even if it's not in the story, then a white person's behind it, like they directed it, even Hilda, or they, color purple. Then they have it. You know what I'm saying? Or they produced it. The other one, what was that? 12 Years a Slave. You know what I mean? Directed by a black man.
Not a white savior to be found in that. The same thing with Black Panther. Black Panther could have been and should have been, and this is not to knock the agent's role in the fight with Wakanda. Not to knock him at all.
It's not to knock it. I'll get to this though. One thing I think Ryan, that's something that Ryan Coogler, a lot of these directors can't get out from under, because they want their film to pass through, but they didn't make. It wasn't like he was the savior. He just contributed.
Yeah,
he wasn't the. He was in that film.
But look at where he contributed. But look at where he contributed though. Like he was the savior of the world. Like they were fighting for all the Wakandans were fighting each other on the ground. The world that was trying to get out with the plane.
I was trying to get out of Wakanda into. Yeah, I got you. Nice catch. I got you. Nice catch.
So there we go again.
I kind of
That's subliminal, man. That's a real subliminal deep shit right there. Good catch, Kev.
That's exactly what it was. And I love that.
Black Panther. That
movie was good. But that part right there,
that's my movie.
That part right there.
Yeah, think about it. And like you said, some people may call it a reach, but I really think about it on a deep level. Because everything has to be subliminal. It's got to be. It can't be on the surface and blatant, right? So it's like these bad Wakandans that trying to get out of Wakanda, out into the world and start the revolution or whatever it is that Killmonger wanted to do. Those were the guys that he ended up stopping. So it didn't affect the rest of the world. It kept it in Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? Very, very, very deep. You got to think deep about it. And some people are going to say, yeah, it's a stretch. But no, if you think deep about it, yeah, that could have been, or probably was by design at that point. Well, just saying, his overall contribution was more of a, contribution as opposed to like Harriet. Like in Harriet, it was just, that's just ridiculous. Now that agent, that's an agent that has shown up in the comics, so at least it's a source material. It's not, you know what I'm saying? That is an agent that showed up in the comics. Whereas Harriet, these were made up characters that's never ever been mentioned in her history, ever. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the problem came in with Harriet, I think, Ralph, because people, I think it didn't get. It actually, to be honest with you, at this point, it didn't get the credibility or the burn that it maybe should have gotten. Because to be honest with you, a lot of black folks was not feeling it because of that. You know what I'm saying?
It was a good movie.
It got its recognition from Hollywood because it got the.
What I was saying is that do you think that I mean, look, there's black movie from Hollywood, they do all kinds of things, but like between three and Thomas are wrong.
There you go. How many of us actually
saw it?
But if you look at Hollywood, it was winning all kinds of awards. What I'm saying, do you think that the backlash against Nate was a slave
somehow messed up the shine that would have been with Harry?
No. Because one had nothing to do with the other. Harriet in itself, Ralph, And one thing I want to say before I say this, and they both were biopics. Don't get me wrong, they both were biopics. The problem with Harriet was not. There was a lot of embellishment with Harriet that was not original to her story. They went above and beyond and almost changed the narrative of her story. Like they added a whole. It's
like me walking into your lifestyle, and I'm just gonna come in.
Live your life.
You live your life. And how long you live your life? And I'm gonna come in and just add 5 years of narrative to your life. To call it canon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Call it good. That's what they completely tried to change the narrative. And the fact that the black filmmakers behind it, and I have to speak on both ends because I'm a black filmmaker, obviously. I'm a filmmaker myself, whatever. I don't consider myself a black filmmaker. I'm a filmmaker, I just happen to be black. But the point is, they wanted to get their film made, and I'm not gonna completely condemn them from a filmmaker standpoint, because when you're a filmmaker, quite frankly, you just want your film made, right? So, but what happens is people were very disappointed in
that. They were disappointed that they would not show a strong woman doing what she did the way she did it, because they are afraid of that inspiring and making a spark in people. That's it. It just goes back to the same narrative of suppression. It comes to that thing. And Ralph, the other thing I wanted to say was before, I get where you come from when you say that I'm stretching, but to a degree, I've been since how I was raised, and two, I'm just conditioned now to look beyond just the surface of something, and sometimes to dig deeper. And yeah, sometimes as a black man, I will say this, as a black man, we do sometimes go above and beyond and dig a little deep with stuff, and probably find stuff that's not really there. But 9 times out of 10, with here in America, if you see it, it's probably the truth.
But I'm saying, but with that saying, you could make that with almost any black film, whether it was directed by a black man or starred by a person. You can make that same argument for any film. Like when you got the one person that's like the savior. I mean, hell, you could really sit there and say that shit for Creed. If you really want to be technical, you could say that shit for Creed. That without Rocky Balboa, what, Creed wouldn't have been crap?
Here's why it's different for Creed. Number one, Creed is a character that stands off from Rocky Balboa. That's number one. Okay. So it's actually
stop. Creed, although the name is of Rocky Balboa, this kid had nothing to do with Rocky. Right? So what happens is this kid is the product of a character from the Rocky franchise. So it wouldn't even have been right if Rocky wasn't in the film. They could have made Creed. They could have made Creed, and that people now Rocky is dead. They could have did that.
But they may do that after you establish the brand. That's my kind. You know what I'm talking about. That's a classic move that everyone has to do. You trying to start up the new brand. It's a spin-off. It's just like if it's a spin-off. Any spin-off that happens, you're going to try to bring the person that helped create the brand in the first place, right? I said it's different. It's different because you're not trying to tell. It's different. You're not trying to tell a Black history, story in Creed. You're just telling the story of a character that is a product of another character from a certain franchise. So of course, you're gonna
but what I'm saying is this: in the movie Creed, you have Apollo's wife, right? You have the son of Apollo's former trainer. And you could have very easily sprinkled that DNA from any of the Rocky movies. You didn't necessarily have to put in this scenario, as Kevin's saying, you did not have to have Stallone himself in the movie.
I don't think it would have worked. I don't think the first movie would have worked without Stallone. Maybe the second.
Explain to me exactly what you're saying. Explain to me how Rocky Balboa is playing a white savior?
Because, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't the beginning of Creed first opens up with little Creed in juvie, right? And he gets rescued by. It turns out it's his who is it called? But if I'm not mistaken, in the first 10 minutes, you see Creed doing all the fights down there in Mexico. And then he decides to quit because he wanted to be a real prize fighter, especially after his dad. He's looking at tapes of his dad fighting Rocky. And think about it, he's only looking at tapes of his dad fighting Rocky because everything that's the only tape that was around, or ESPN shows him fighting Rocky. What I'm saying is, if he really wanted to be a part of any movie, he wants to stand up on his own. He wants to establish his own name, not to shadow his dad. He could have really did that out of Rocky Balboa. He didn't lose Rocky Balboa. But from your mentality of the white savior, then Balboa is the savior to Creed.
No, he's not. No, Ralph. What you're doing right now is you're twisting the whole concept. It's stretching, Ralph. That's not Ralph. That's not the white savior concept of a script. That's not the white savior concept of a script. That's not even the definition of it. That what you're talking about right there. That's another human being seeing the potential in another human being and bringing out the best in that human being.
And let's not forget, he's connected to him because he was friends
of the relationship with the dad.
Exactly, relationship with his father. And let's not forget the matter of what. You could blame that. You could even go as far as to say the guilt that may have written him because let's not forget he had guilt in his heart.
That's very true. But listen to what I'm saying. Agree, but listen to what I'm saying here. He, of all the people that he went to with Stallone, who did Creed have the better relationship with? Rocky Balboa or his own trainer, who now is the But his son was in it.
But the son didn't want nothing to do with him. The character of the son didn't want to mess with him
because he was arrogant and cocky. You don't think that if he really would have committed, if you don't think if he really would have committed, right, the same results could have came with the son of the train. Now, and then maybe the second movie. Now maybe the second movie where now he has started to establish himself. But now the second movie said a couple of years in the future. Now he's established himself. Now the whole thing with Drago comes up, and now you do need Rocky.
And you know what, Ralph? Let me explain to you what the white savior complex is when it comes to film. The white savior complex when it comes to film, or any kind of medium, whether it be comic or whether it be a novelistic format or just in script format. The whole purpose of the white savior is to bring down the level of the black character. You have a strong black character impact. And most times, 9 times out of 10, it's a female character that this white savior complex happens with. And it's a little bit of a mixture, but most times it's with a female character. So now you have this situation where you have a black character that's going through and getting to prime example. The the jazz singer thing that what's his face? God damn it. What's his name? From Ocean's 11, the black guy from Ocean's 11, Rhodes, War Machine. Come on, help me with his name.
Yeah, you're talking about I'm talking about the film, about Don Cheadle, but the film that he did was
about Miles Davis.
Yeah, Miles Davis. But when he did that movie, this is what they did. They took the genius of Miles Davis and suppressed it. And what did they amplify? They amplified his drug use. They amplified his dependency on drugs. And then they took that white character that wasn't even in Don Cheadle's original script. Then they put that white character in as the savior, that the guy was trying to help him to keep him off drugs, to keep him stable.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, that I can't use that because I know someone that was also going to do a Miles Davis movie. One of the problems with that Miles Davis movie is it didn't have the backing of the family.
That happens a lot. That happens with a lot of the movies. Yeah,
right.
They don't have the backing of the family. But I see how he's trying to.
Right. So the family at that time, because they weren't backing, they didn't really have the cooperation of the family to know everything about Miles Davis. So I'm sure they did fabricate some. Because you can look at Ray.
What I'm saying, you're not understanding what I'm saying, Ralph. The script that Don Cheadle wrote, the original script that was written for the Miles Davis movie, was a complete depiction of his life. It was a true adaptation of his life. Like he was. Don Cheadle had been working on this for a while. He put this whole thing together himself.
That's true. He did. Except for one big problem. The family didn't
want him to do it.
Miles Davis'
family did not want him to do it.
Regardless of what the family wanted or didn't want, he had a true adaptation of Miles Davis's life. The studio turned around and said, "No, we're not going to make that film. We're going to make this film," and took his script and basically tossed it and rewrote the whole movie.
Yes, right. I know, and they rewrote the movie to kind of bring up, highlight other certain things. And even if we're not talking about, and they don't just, it's not just done with black, they had that same issue with the Birth of the Dragon movie. Same issue.
No.
They had I believe it was the Birth of the Dragon movie. They had the same issue where, they focused on this, that's what he means by the white savior complex. Focusing on this character when it's like the Birth of the Dragon, this should be solely about Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same thing. So that definitely exists, and it's going to always exist, unfortunately, until we have black gatekeepers. Until the people, the black multi-millionaires and billionaires or whatever you call that out there, that decide to say we're going to step up and create a black distribution and this and that and take charge of it. But no one really wants to take on that task. They don't want to do it because, I guess they just don't want to fight the fight. They don't want to, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a battle to get yourself. But let me rephrase that. It will be a battle, but it's easier now than it was then because we have different forms and methods of distribution now. We have the internet. We have streaming. Now you can kind of do it. So really, now there's no excuse because now, you got people. So what you got to hope for is people like Kenya Barris, who also was, censored. And the reason why he left ABC is because of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That same type of deal. So now he has a deal with Netflix where he can develop his own content and bring it to Netflix. So, and be all apology how they go.
And pun intended, to be unapologetic about it.
Right, be unapologetic about it. That's why when he came with the Black AF, show, Black AF, straight up, he's coming right out the gate. So we should hope now that he can become one of those gatekeepers through the means of distribution that we have now. The industry is changing, so the old ways of doing things is going out the window, and that's really hurting the old gatekeepers because now the new generations and the new way of thinking, the new way of life is creating other routes to the masses. People now want to get this stuff direct, uncut. You know what I'm saying? They want to get it direct now. We're living in the age of now. I want it now. I don't want to wait. I want it now. You know what I'm saying? That's why Amazon is so successful because they've mastered the art of now. You want it now, you're getting it now. You know what I'm saying? So instead of taking two things they mastered, and that is the backbone of being successful in America. Number one, they're solving a problem And number two, they're playing off of the nature of the lazy nature of, or I'm going to say lazy nature, the nature of convenience. They're playing off the nature of convenience, the need for convenience, and the need for it coming fast and it being convenient without you having to leave your damn couch. They're successful.
And I totally 100% agree with Wes. And I've even fallen off on how I purchase from Amazon. Like when my daughter was in high school, I ordered everything. Like we got, with the exception of toilet paper, all of our body wash, household needs, household items, all of that stuff came through Amazon. I got a regular monthly delivery of that stuff to where everything stays stocked up. Even now, I went food shopping yesterday and came back home and had to walk 3 big bags up the door by myself. I had to make 2 trips down to my car to bring bags back in the house. You know what I said? You know what I said when I got in the house? Outside of my meat and my vegetables, from now on, I'm either going to Amazon for Whole Foods or I'm ordering from Suicidal. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with the damn supermarket. Listen, I'm 49. I'm tired of walking up there a flight of stairs and a whole bunch of damn bags.
If you have an elevator or live on the first floor.
I live on the first floor.
Are you still walking up there?
First floor means you walk up, you open the door, not walk up some flights of stairs.
I am a true Amazon. Amazon is making a lot of money off of me. I'll just say that. Just like a lot of other people. But yeah, I want to shout out something that one of the people in the chat room says. Keita said that Amazon video needs some seasoning, and she don't mean salt, pepper. She's like, this Alexa is awful. I don't really think it's awful.
Well, we can tell her she needs to go to KiwiTV.com. That's KiwiTV.com. That has all the black content that you want. It's a service that's just like Netflix. It's black owned, and it has a lot of good content on it. It's only like $7 a month.
Yeah. So see, I think there's a few things that I watch on Amazon. I'm not big on the Amazon Prime originals. Some of them, of course, The Boys. I love it. That's my favorite one that I'm watching at this point. But then they had what was the one that had Al Pacino in it? That was kind of decent. That one was pretty good too. There's a couple of them. The Irishman? No, that's the Irishman. There was a series.
That's the one with the Sea Hunters.
I'll give it to you in a second. It was called. I haven't watched it. They're not the Hunters. Hunters. It was called Hunters. What was the name of it?
Hunters, yeah.
Yeah, it was just called Hunters. That was a pretty good show. There were a couple others. I prefer. Right now, I'm rocking with them. But Netflix also, Nikita, they put out more stuff than Amazon originally. Netflix is just taking on a lot more stuff. They're actually a little easier to deal with than Amazon. Well, not easier. They're all not the same, but they've been giving out more deals because Netflix, I believe, is on a mission to really become self-sustained within the next 10 years. So they're like not relying on anyone else's other content, and it's all original Netflix. So that's why they're taking on so much content.
Viewership. Netflix bottom line is, how can we get more viewers? Okay, more viewers means more content. Over the last 7 years, you have an increase in foreign television series. You saw an increase in foreign television films, specifically Israeli, standard from Spain, movies from Spain, French, and Latino videos from South America.
American food.
South American stuff. Yeah.
So there's been a lot of they've really been stepping up their content game because they understand that they have a very diverse audience. Like their audience, we look at the North American stuff, but we also have people who speak other languages. You have people like me who don't mind watching subtitles. Who I actually pay attention to even more. Like I don't mind watching subtitle movies. Like give me more of that content. You know, especially now that I'm having a movie theater.
Yeah, exactly. So Netflix has definitely got a wider variety, and they got so much stuff. Some of it, some people don't really even like. Like some of the stuff. And I'll be honest, some of the stuff I'm like, how did this make it on Netflix? But I give them credit for trying to just get content out because they know that the round that they're going to be self-sustained. They're not going to be relying on. Because remember, Netflix at one point was relying solely on licensing stuff, other people's stuff, and showing it on there. Now they don't really rely on it like that. Almost everything now that comes out on Netflix is an original. And we're going to close with this. Speaking of originals, like I said, how we started with the Old Guard. I believe the Old Guard, the success of the Old Guard is going to really catapult and try to light a fire under production company and studios to say maybe we should release our films straight to streaming or whatever the case may be, whether they try to do it themselves or go through Netflix or whatever, because it proves that, that's a Netflix original film. They cannot, now they do anything. And as you can see, we ran the numbers on the show yesterday, or we was running the numbers on. We crunched them real quick, and we came up. It was something like over $300 billion in subscription money that Netflix kind of makes a year, and their net profit is in the high 2-point-something billion range. That's after Susie the dog catcher and everybody else is paying. You know what I'm saying? So, after all of that is taken, all of their productions and all that stuff, then they had that. So the money's there. We like I said, we're gonna close out the show on that note. The money is there. The studios can make that switch if they put their put a little effort into it, a little thought into it. Think about the people, but at the same time, obviously think about your bottom line because you want to stay in business. And let's be honest, if we don't pay, if the people don't want to pay for it like that, well, I mean, if they can't go the route of worrying about, okay, well, we gotta lower it because you still want. Hey, I still want the quality of film that we've been getting the last 10 years. So to get the quality of film that we've been getting the last 10 years, the budget still got to be $100 million. That's just the way it is. That's just filmmaking. So to get the quality of film that we need, the budget still has to be high. So now you have to think of a platform. You have to think of a model that you could put together where you can kind of not break even, but you can kind of make up for the definite money that you will be losing because, of course, but at the same time, it's more like a quantity thing too. It's like, hey, as long as if you have a streaming service, and that's what Disney thought. They looked at Netflix design and was like, well, we're Disney. Everybody loves us. We're gonna create our own platform, and we're gonna have the same type of success. That hasn't really been the case as of yet, because of the way the platform's designed, it's great to have all that stuff, but there's only so much of Disney you can take. You know what I'm saying? So because of the way, Netflix has a variety of stuff. It's not just one, like Disney is Disney. You got they got it set up for you on the platform. You have your Disney stuff, your Marvel stuff, blah, 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 blah. Right? I'm going to make this short because we got to close the show out. But my point is, think of a platform or think of a design that you can bring the movies to the homes of people, even if you have to charge a little more than what instead of charging $15, which is what you would pay for a ticket at the movie theater, maybe you charge $17 or $20. I don't think you should go over that because, you may lose some people, but people will pay for it. The people, especially the people like us that want to see the movie, because and right now, if they drop it, and right now, if they drop that, they are the ones the first people to do that are the ones that's going to really, really prosper. Because Old Guard proved that. Because it's like, we're getting a blockbuster type of, movie, with actor and stuff like that, A-list actor, big movie that probably would have did well in the movie theater. And, we're getting it now. And that's, like I said, now, if Nolan and whoever they'll release it, what's that, Warner Brothers or whatever, they release it, and they decide to say, look, we're going to bring it to, we're just going to bypass the theaters. We're going to put it on demand. We're going to charge you $19.99 for it or whatever. They'll make their money back. They'll make the money because people will watch it. Because especially now, but they can't go to the movies and watch it, so people will pay for it.
Listen,
wait. My last point is, some people bring up the fact that you may lose people because, as opposed to you getting two people paying $15 for a ticket, you may have one person paying $20 for the on demand, and you got 5 people watching it. But also, the counter to that is, think about the people that's going to watch it that would not have went to the movie theater even if there wasn't a pandemic. You see what I'm saying? Yep. You got those people. But once again, you're feeding into America's hunger for convenience. And not only that, convenience is going to, at the end, going to help you win. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And not only that. And not only that, even if you want to bring up the point, you need to have a movie ticket because you only get two, you only get one. Two people, you only get one. Still could add a max. Still be at $25. And that's two $12 $25. And that's two $12 tickets. That's 2 tickets charging $25. So per charging $25. By 72 million views, by 92 million views, by 92 million views, you will clear a billion. If not in the first week, at least in the first 2 weeks. Especially right now with this pandemic. Especially right now with this pandemic. There are no movie theaters. All of the drive-ins, all of the drive-ins, and all of the specialty. You have a diner and a story that they have a drive-in. They have a drive-in set up in their parking lot where they still serve food. But all of these theaters, they're not really playing. They're not really playing.
They're not playing. Yeah, right. They're playing old stuff. So if you have that, I agree. You're going to get that extra unit. You're going to make the money back up. And I'm gonna really, we gotta kind of wrap this up on that note because over on Blog Talk, they're going to be into the show. They just did. So this is my point, which means we may not even be heard right now. Hold on.
Yeah, it's done.
Yep, it's done.
So with that being said, we're gonna have to, we're gonna. Yeah.
So we're on the air.
Oh, we're on the air. We're still on the air. With yeah, we're still on the live stream. Of course.
No, but I'm saying
but on Voxel, I'm talking.
I'm still on the air.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I don't know why, but I just got the
phone
notification from it. They're like,
yeah.
Thank you for using Voxel. Like I got that little notice, but whatever the case, we're gonna end the show anyway.
And you guys still hear me, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. On that note, we want to say thank you for everybody that chimed in the chat rooms. We really appreciate. and just I appreciate you either way. Matita's in there holding it down, doing her thing, dropping a lot of stuff in there. She's very interactive. I love it. Thank you very much for joining us and chiming in and being interactive and listening to what we got to say as we talk our ish. And we just want to, on that note, say thanks to everybody. Blog Talk Radio, Dollhouse Radio, the whole thing, and that's it, man. We want to sign off on that note and tell everybody next week come back. We'll have some more stuff. The last thing I want to say on this whole note is for the show itself, we're going to be putting together a show about the rise of the female directors. I really want that show to be a big show. I'm trying to put together some guests, some female directors as guests, and I want that show to be a big show. The rise of the female directors. We got a lot of good ones out there. We've always had a lot of good ones, but they haven't been getting the shine that they're supposed. But now they're starting to come up now. So I want to point that out. I think that's worth talking about. Female directors of all colors. Of course, we have Ava DuVernay really doing her thing, and Zena Prince Blythewood, who just actually did Old Guard. You know what I'm saying? That put her, I believe, in another level as far as, because that wasn't originally in her real house until she started doing some TV stuff. But now, I was very proud, very pleasantly surprised to see that she was the director of that, because I didn't know who directed it at first. So, Prince Blythewood and people like that, and all, a lot of different. So we'll try to get some guests on and get some female directors' perspectives and just talk some real film stuff with them, because they deserve the shine that they haven't been getting. So I'm hoping we can bring it to them. So that's in the next couple of weeks we're gonna rock with that.
Okay, that sounds cool.
Yeah, man. All right, yo. Peace, everybody. Thank you very much for showing up. Peace.